All right, does anything cancel? Here's our next example. Does anything cancel as is? No, nothing cancels. You got 2m, you got 8m squared minus 8m. You got a binomial on the bottom. The only thing that cancels with 8m squared minus 8m is 8m squared minus 8m. However, what can we do in the denominator? Factor, 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 factor. Write it down 100 times on your piece of paper. Factor. What is rule number 1 of doing these problems? If the directions say simplify, what's the first thing you're going to try to do? Factor. If you're a strong factorer, okay, then you'll know how to do these problems. All right?
Is that grammatically correct?
Yes. 2m over what? What can I do on the bottom? It's not a trinomial, so what am I thinking? 3 letters. G, C, F. What are my 3? What's my GCF in this problem?
8m.
8m. Outstanding. I pull an 8m out to the front, right? And what's left inside the parentheses? M minus 1. Outstanding. Now, will anything cancel? Yes. Why does stuff cancel now? Why can I cancel the 2 and the 8 and the m now?
Because they're monomial.
Monomial and monomial. Because I got a monomial over a monomial, now I can cancel. The m's cancel, the 2 and the 8 cancel, and my answer is 1 over 4 m minus 1. 2 over 8. 2 over 8. Alright? Questions? Any questions? How many examples have we done? Only 1?
5.
More than 5.
How much 7?
7?
I had about 8 or 9.
I have 1.
8 or 9. Alright, how about this one?
I have 6.
Because I do.
If he copies every single thing down.
Alright, here we go. What's rule number 1 of trying to simplify rational expressions? Starts with an F. Factor, 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 factor. Can I factor the top? Into what? X plus 5 and X minus 5. Here's a tip. If those are your 2 factors on the top, what do you think the chances are that one of those factors or both or one or the both are going to be used when you factor the bottom? No, not 100. There's a strong chance. I could factor the bottom and nothing cancel. Okay? I could factor the bottom and nothing cancel. However, in this problem, when I factor, what do I get? X minus 5 and X minus 5. That's what the bottom factors into. Okay? And if you're struggling with the factoring part, you're going to need to come to extra help. Why? Because that's in chapter 2. We've already talked about it. These are very simple trinomials. A is equal to 1. You should be able to factor them at this point. There will be tons of factoring on the EOCT and the 9 weeks exam. Okay? You've got to be strong at factoring. What cancels? Oh, hold on. Just as a side question, just because it's already nice and neat, factored, ready to go. What's the excluded value? Wrong.
5 and 8.
Hold on. What's the excluded value? 5. X can't equal 5 and X can't equal to 5. Is it okay that I only got one excluded value when it was X squared? Is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah, because you got 5 twice. You got 5 twice, so it's okay that you only got one value. Now, back to simplifying. The X minus 5's cancel, and so your answer is X plus 5 over X minus 5. Okay, questions? Yes?
What? How did you know that you had to factor the top?
Factor, factor, factor. That's what you're thinking. As soon as you see the problem, you're trying to factor the numerator, and you're trying to factor the denominator. Everything you can factor, factor. Yep. No.
Someone keeps on calling.
David. All right. Let's do another example. 7x squared minus 14x over 49x cubed. First of all, what's the excluded value? What's the excluded value? You should be able to tell me. It should be that fast.
Zero.
There's only one. 0. Okay? All right. You try to simplify it now at your desk. Simplify it now at your desk. Good.
Told me to.
X minus 2 over 7x squared. Is that the right answer?
Yes.
Is that what you got?
Yes.
Raise your hand if you got the right answer. How did I get what?
I got to the part, like, I got the factored part, and then I don't know how you went to that.
Cancel, cancel.
Oh.
Monomial over a monomial, cancel. Holloway?
I did odd way.
Like, the thing I got confused on is it was 1 minus 3 instead of 3 minus 1. So
1 minus 3.
for the exponent.
This is x. This is x, x, x. Those cancel.
So it
You're
doesn't
right,
go
it's 1
negative.
minus 3. I end up with x squared on the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you'll never have a negative exponent?
That's math 2 concept. You're right. We'll get to that next year. Good question. Anybody else? Alright, let's do another one. What would the excluded value be in this one again? 0. What do you always look at for your excluded value? Do you look at your answer or do you look at the beginning of the problem? Write that down. For excluded value, you always look at the beginning of the problem. Don't look at your answer. You look at the beginning of the problem. David?
So like on a quiz or something, for the answer we would have both x does not equal.
It depends on the direction. Depends on the direction.
How could you automatically tell that your excluded value is going to be 0?
Because if you put 0 in, you'll get 0 on the
Oh,
bottom.
Alright. Tell me the excluded value and simplify it. Now at your desk. Tell me the excluded value and simplify it. Now at your desk.
But can you factor x squared minus 9? How did you know it was 0? Because it was x down there by itself. It had a number up front and it had an exponent, but it was basically by itself. Anytime, and that's why I did in the beginning, I said, okay, what's the excluded value? 0. What's the excluded value now? 0. What's the excluded value now? 0. What's the excluded value now? 0. Any of those, what's the excluded value now? 0. Now, what's the excluded value? 0 and positive 1. Wow, factorable. No, that's not right. The bottom factor.
Got to go back and brush up on your factoring skills. What is the bottom? Hold on. We got to factor if we're doing excluded value or if we're doing simplification. We've got to factor. Can I factor the top in? No, it's already factored. They already pulled the x out for you. That was nice of them. Then they factor the bottom, and what do you get?
X minus 3.
X plus 3 and x minus 3. Does order matter there?
No.
No, it doesn't. Okay? So what cancels?
The x plus
X plus 3 and X plus 3 cancel out, so what's your simplified answer?
X over X minus 3.
X over X minus 3. Now what's your excluded value?
3. Negative.
Wrong. See, I tricked you.
Negative 3.
Tricked you. Wrong.
Zero.
Dash?
It's,
I simplified it from the start because the X is right.
is
Can't
it
do
negative 3 and 3?
Even if you got the right answer, you can't do that.
The excluded value is 3.
Is it negative?
Raise your hand if you think the excluded value is 3. Alright, does anybody know why that's not the answer? I just got done telling you, Roy.
You look at it.
X plus 3 and X minus 3.
You look at the beginning of the problem, you do not look at the answer. I just got done telling you to write that down. You look at the beginning of the problem, right? So here is where we look and we say X cannot equal 3 or negative 3. We can't just say X can't equal 3 because this has already been simplified. We look here for excluded values. Okay?
You didn't have to look at that because negative 3 comes negative 3. Like, you can just look at the very...
You have to look at the beginning of the problem to find the excluded values. Every single time. Okay? Let's try another. Then we're going to go to the workbook. I hope you wrote it down. I hope you remember that now. Alright, here we go. X squared plus 4x minus 21. Plus 4x minus 21. What is that on the top there? It's a trinomial. What else is it? Describe it. What else is it?
It's a polynomial.
It's a polynomial. What else is it? Anytime you have x squared, we have a q word. What is that q word? It's a quadratic. Okay? It's a quadratic. It's a trinomial. It's a polynomial. On the bottom, I got x squared minus 5x plus 6. What is that?
It's a trinomial.
It's a trinomial as well. Okay? Alright. Find the excluded value and simplify. Do both. This is as much as I'm going to give you. What is rule number 1? Corey wrote it on his paper 100 times. What's rule number 1 of doing these problems? Factor, 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 factor. Factor the top. Factor the bottom. Factor. Question. Do you have to know how to factor to do these problems?
Yes.
Yes. Are these easy problems to factor? Why are they easier?
Because they're not hard.
Because A equals 1, David. See me after class, okay? Because A equals 1, these problems are easier to factor. Okay? I could make it a lot harder if I start putting 2's there and 3's there, or even way harder if I put 4 and 6 and 8. Right? When that number's not prime, like a 6, then that gets a lot harder to factor. These are fairly straightforward to factor. Okay? Don't forget excluded values. Tell me what the excluded values are. Alright, love it. What does the top factor into?
X plus 7, X minus 3.
Alright, x plus 7 and x minus 3. I think she's right. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, good. BJ, what does the denominator factor into? X plus 6 and x minus 1. Alright, I'm going to write that down. It's wrong. I'm going to write that down and we're going to talk about it. Because somebody else did this in an earlier period. Why is 6 times 1 is 6. You're right. Positive 6 and negative 1 make negative 5. Let's change that. So that would be right. Negative 6 and positive 1. I get negative 5 in the middle, but it's still wrong. I can't even set it up that way. And somebody tell me why, David. Because that's positive and because that's negative, David's exactly right. You don't have a choice. Both of these symbols have to be negative, negative. You have a rule. And it says if that one's positive and that one's negative, they both have to be negative. You don't have a choice. And so if I stick in 6 and 1, I get negative 7x in the middle, so those factors don't work. Luckily, 6 has 2 other factors. What are they? 2 and 3. So I can plug in a 2 there and a 3 there, and I do get negative 5x in the middle. So that is what it factors into. Okay, what cancels? X minus 3's cancel. And so what's my answer? X plus 7 and X minus 2. My excluded value is X cannot equal positive 2.
What about 3?
What about
It
it?
got canceled, yo.
Oh, it got canceled. I thought you said you had to look at it.
Do I look at the beginning and get 2 and 3? Or do I look at my answer and just get 2? You better look at the beginning.
I did.
I want somebody to raise their hand and say, Coach Collins, you're wrong. The excluded values are 2 and 3. Let's see if y'all paying attention. Alright, workbook. Let's do the workbook. How much time we got, James? What are we at?
15.
Alright, let's keep going. Workbook, workbook, workbook. Everybody get your workbook out quietly without talking. Workbook, workbook, workbook. We are on page 178. 178 in our workbook. Please don't talk. Alright, we'll do some of these problems together. This is part of your homework. So any problems that we go over, you should be writing them down as part of your homework, classwork homework. 1 through 9, it says find the excluded values, if any. So number 1, what are your excluded values? What can X not equal in number 1? It can be 0. There isn't one. So you would say none. Good job. Number 1 on page 178 in your workbook is none. How about number 3? What's your excluded value on number 3? 6. The excluded value would be 6. Sorry, I skipped a 3. Number 3 is 6. I skipped to number 3. Tricky, tricky. How about number 9? Skip down to number 9. What would the excluded value be on number 9? Don't yell it out. Work it out. You can't look at it probably and do it. You're going to have to do it on paper. You can't look at it and do number 9. You have to solve. So you set it not equal to 0. You subtract 2 from both sides. You divide by 3 on both sides. And Carter, what is your excluded value for number 9? No. Negative 2/3. You would move the 2 over by subtraction. So it would be negative 2/3. I hope you're writing that down. X cannot equal negative 2/3. We just did 3 problems from your homework. Number 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. What do the directions say? So what's the answer? Either yes it is or no it's not. You got a 50-50 shot. Marlo?
I got to put on number 8. I know you didn't do it, but would that be negative 1/2?
Be positive 1/2 because you moved the 1 over by addition.
So basically all you got to do is take the right number and put it on top of the left number.
Right. Alright, number 10. Is it in simplest form or can something be factored? It's not in simplest form. Why? What can you do on the bottom? You can factor out a 3. Very good. 3 is a GCF. I can factor it out. How about number 15? That's a little more tricky. Can you factor the denominator?
Yes.
You think?
No.
Yes.
Try it. Try it. We're doing number 15. What are we at?
18 and it's about to die.
It's about to die. Just let it. If it dies, it dies. Just let it run out. Leave it up to fate.
What number are you working on?
It's not in simple form.
15.
It doesn't factor. Sorry, guys. X squared minus 4x plus 4 does not factor, I don't think. Or does it factor into x minus 2, x minus 2? Oh, you're right. It does factor. I think what they're saying is it's in simplest form because nothing cancels.
But you have
Right? Nothing cancels. Nothing on the top. The answer is it in simplest form? The answer is yes, it is in simplest form. That's kind of confusing. I would say yes, it can be factored, but nothing cancels. Okay? So you need to go a little bit more in depth. Yes, it can be factored, but nothing cancels. Okay? So like on number 10, you factored a 3 out, you got x minus 1, something canceled. So you were able to factor it and something canceled. That's why we're going over these. Alright? Number 16, what would your excluded value be?
0.
0, very good. Number 21, what would your excluded value be on 21? Y'all be able to do it in your head. 10 and negative 10. Alright. So your homework is 1 through 21. We just did a bunch of those. Okay? It also is some problems out of the textbook. Page 163, 1 through 15. Okay? That's 36 problems for homework. But how many nights do you have before you see me again? 4 nights. If you struggle on any of this, what should you do?
Come to Extra Help.
Watch your YouTube videos. What else? Come to Extra Help when? Tomorrow morning or Monday morning? I won't have it tomorrow morning. It's in the Media Center. But my Extra Help would be Monday morning. Yes? It's going to be 129 and 130 for today. 129 and 130. All right. Let's see. Oh.